Assalamu alaikum. It's great to see you all over here, and I just have a few things to share with you because I've come through my journey of life, and in a short time, maybe we can show with something. I'm sure that you've heard, stay hungry, stay foolish. I'm sure you've all heard about it, and you know that, but he said, stay hungry, stay foolish, not be hungry, not be foolish. Because when you are be hungry and be foolish, then you stop at a point. But he wanted, Steve Jobs wanted everyone to go on in their journey of discovery, of exploring. And when you say the word venture, venturing actually is an adventure. And no venturing can be conventional. It has to be out of the box. It has to be questioning the status quo. And of course, all venturing comes with a great risk, with a great challenge that you must anyhow face and come forward, breaking it and be brave about it. So when you venture, look at the medicine that has come forward. Look at the medical equipment. Look at what NASA is doing. Look at what our countries are doing. We are breaking the convention. We are questioning the unquestioned. Therefore, when you are venturing, you must train yourself. Can we take the next one so I can just explain a few things? This is actually mediocrity. When you conform and conform too much, you are trying to promote mediocrity. You're conforming. You are not brave enough because it has uncertainty. And this uncertainty may result into anything. However, whether it results in any failure even, it's not a failure because it somehow is a part of your dream which one day will materialize. Because you are guided by design, you are guided by community, your culture. And when you are there doing all this, innovating, venturing beyond something which is the horizon, this is in your collective wisdom. You are collecting this for the generations. It's not going to be one time. It may not materialize. Your dream. You think that people who started flying did it overnight? They didn't. I'm sure that you must have read that there were people who wanted to make an experiment with feathers and they started flying and crossing over mountains. They fell, I'm sure. But look what happened one day. And you have the best today of even space journeys. Starting from that one person who had an idea of using feathers to fly. So you must learn to fly, like Khalil Gibran says. You must not limit yourself. Of course, there's always hope. There's profit. It doesn't have to be monetary, no. But it can be evolution. It's revolution. It is something which will build your society. But how is it going to build? How is it going to make a change? With your courage. It is going to only be a dream today, but for somebody materializing. Can we take the next? Never be afraid of the outcome. Never be afraid. Let people take you down sometimes. There will be people who will take you down, but don't be deterred. I just have a few examples. There are myriads of examples in the world. Can we just quickly roll through this? There's Dr. Abdul Salam. And of course, Benazir Bhutto you all know about. There are Elon Musks of the world, Jeff Bezos of the world, the Ma Jacks of the world. Why I'm taking those names that you can relate to them. Abdul Salam Idi, he was only 4 years old when 1947 he came here. And his book is worth reading, Mirror to the Blind. What his challenges were at that age, but how he could take a fight not a fight in a physical sense, but a struggle. And then of course you've heard about them. Can we take the next? So these are people who have come out, ventured, taken over their own selves, explored self-discoveries because they overcome fear, because they overcame criticism. They did not let people down because there must be a lot of people. 80-90% are those who take you down and say, because either they're jealous, their dreams are not as high, their flight is not planned, they don't have the urge, so they're not hungry and they're not foolish, and they don't find jobs that they love. So Meena Baig, for example, all these people have put us on the world map with their achievements. Can you take the next? Very quickly, you may not see me as anything as big as those that I've just named. But for me, at the age of 5, that was my journey. I was in class 1, I'd just been admitted in a very ordinary school because it was not far from the house. And at age 5, in my house, it was a big house, when we were growing up, the houses were bigger. Age 5, I started a library and I started a little sports school. You can call it. It was just a few kids of my class who would come to the house. At age 5, I could think of that. And my parents would say, just a waste of time, don't do it. Because they were both academicians, they were both into education, they wanted me to read a lot, so I read a lot. And I had stacks of storybooks at the age of 5. And interestingly, probably you wouldn't know, I'll share with you, at that time, the rupee was divided in 16 annas made 1 rupee. And the fee of my library was 4 annas and a quarter of the rupee. So 4 annas, my friends paid, and my mother said, "You're being so silly, you don't charge your friends." Now that was something which I wanted to do differently at the age of 5. And then from there on, my journey started with going to another school and changing school because I had a mind of my own. There was definitely resistance from the family. And then when I went to Algeria to see my father in the early 70s, I'd heard a lot about Sweden, that you could study there and you could work there yourself. So life was much simpler, so I just walked into the ambassador's, the Swedish ambassador's office, and I said, "I want to go to Sweden." He was quite taken aback and he said, "What will you do there?" I said, "I'm a woman, I am just 20 plus, and I want to grow as a female." And he said, "But you don't have a job." I said, "How can I have a job sitting here? You give me a visa, you give me a work permit." And he really stamped my passport. So for me, that was another journey. And my father said, like a good girl, you'll go back, you'll go to study, you'll get married. I said, "No, I want to explore." For me, that may have been much smaller as compared to a lot of these names that I've just shown. That was anyhow my breaking and going beyond the convention of getting married, of settling in, being a housewife, a goody-goody housewife. I wanted to learn and explore myself and the world. And then, what happened in my life, again, I was one of the first. I don't know, your elders may have heard the name Pasta. That was a restaurant. And I opened 5 bakeries. And I did catering for 1,000 people. I was single-handed. My husband always, empowered me completely. So you do your thing. Don't bother me because I've got too much of my own work. So I started Pasta. That was the first restaurant. Today you can see, you go to all these beautiful restaurants and coffee shops. That was the first. But for me, that was breaking through and giving people something new. And then, of course, the owners, they unfortunately died in a car accident, so I had to. And then Janara was there. I had to give my time because motherhood is a gift. So kids remember There's nothing better than fatherhood or motherhood. Once you are a parent, it is a world of its own. And as she was growing up, she was first in LGS with Neelam Sense Branch, and she wanted to do new things, and she wanted to be on stage doing a theatre, plays, wanted to do some debates. So we came to the class when she was in her O1. So O levels, and then things happened. It was negligence. It was one of those things which God actually ordains. I cannot blame anybody for it. She went away. She was only 16 and a half. She was not only physically beautiful, but at the age of 14, she was reading Karl Marx. And she was, so this was a tradition, like I said, it just gets into the collective wisdom. As my parents had taught me to read, I made this environment in my house. So we were connected with lambs and all. And when she went away, a very dear friend, and said, you are not going to mourn and grieve in the house. You have to break these shackles, the conventional. You have to venture out. You must come out of yourself, not being home, because I was doing a lot of work, a lot of business and everything. But when she went away, it all changed. And I started my work with voluntary work with Padma Mula Hospital. I opened a family medical center in Nansuk. It's about 2.5 kilometers from, if you've seen government colleges from there. Nansuk, and then we got an ambulance. I felt satisfied. My grief had been channelized into giving out, coming home, and that was such a passion. I definitely discovered myself. Asma Jahangir was a very dear friend, and I always wanted to, and I used to admire her that, wow, doing NGO and working for people. I said, I can't do it, that's not me. But then when this happened, and I was kind of, you can say, guided into it by God, I found myself in a place where this was the best thing that happened to me. And I started working with the people. I run this emergency. I think we have seen the picture at the beginning. And this emergency has more than 200 people a day. I go there, we renovate every 2-3 years. I raise the funds for it. And I come home tired and satisfied. This was not the convention of mourning and staying home and grieving. I stepped out of it. Because when you do that, could we go to the, I just want to read about the challenges that, how kids must, these challenges, yes. Because the only way of being able to venture beyond is when you work on yourself. There are barriers, of course, but the first barrier is you. You are the barrier yourself. These are internal barriers. You procrastinate, you put off, you somehow keep thinking about it. You have, and today I've noticed amongst the young, amongst the youth, because you are tomorrow. You are the world tomorrow. Depression. Why should you have depression? Why should the young people? You have things to do. Perhaps today you may not feel that there's a future, but then the future you must carve yourself. The future is your life. Because when you self-sabotage yourself, you take yourself down, you procrastinate, you don't have the strength to say that I am capable, I can do it. You don't think like that because you have no self-esteem. Don't you love yourself? Why should you have low self-esteem? Why should you have self-respect? Yes, I can do it. It doesn't have to be jumping high up to the skies. It can be a very small thing. Like I just gave you my example. That when Chandana passed away, I stepped out of the house. It wasn't anything of building huge hospitals. It was just a small thing. It was clean, it was proper, and I was very satisfied. because I have respect for myself. So when you have these barriers, you must do self-audit. You must think about it. What are my shortcomings? And when you have realized your shortcomings, I'm sure then you can do something. Be spiritual. Probably spiritual is a word that people have misunderstood. You don't have to wake up the nights and do your wazifa, but you have to talk to God and get close to your spirit. That's spiritual. Because your spirit is clean. It's innocent. It teaches you to do the right thing. It teaches you to be generous. Generous is not just giving a lot of money in charity. Even giving a compliment is generosity. That's your personality. And when your personality grows to be like that, you definitely will shine and give light to others. Because then the financial, the cultural, the familiar, these will stand in your way. But when you are a strong person yourself, all these external barriers will certainly be overcome. Because what you must do is embrace the innovative, accept the new, let others also. Don't pull your own leg or don't pull the others down. Maybe we can, see, you have this, without passion you cannot do anything. You have passion, you have the desire, so you are hungry, you are foolish. Without passion, half-hearted, you can't get through things. You get up one morning, you have great ideas, you have big dreams, and suddenly by the evening, you see so many challenges, you may have barriers, and you just sort of, just moved out. No, it doesn't work like that. Your passion is going to drive you. But you must first discover. Without self-discovery, like as a personal example, and of course you have Hansa over here, and very impressive to see her. She's part of your alumni and all these examples. These are those who have managed in their own lives, because without passion. So don't be apologetic. Don't become all the time, your personality will become apologetic. I'm sorry, I can't do it. It's not possible. Who's going to help me? Nobody's there to counsel me. It doesn't matter. You are your own counsel. You need to first remember that you have to come out of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is, I can't do it. Because you are not questioning the unquestioned. You're not breaking the barrier. And when you break the barrier, have the courage. When you have the courage, you won't be afraid anymore. And when you're not afraid anymore, you will make a difference to yourself and to the others. Your life is in your hands, not in my hands, not somebody else's. But yes, culture, your family. Lots of times I hear about the parents saying that, since we have a certain line of profession, we want our children to follow the same. Convince them. And if you have that passion, you will convince them. If you have the passion, you have explored yourself, you have discovered yourself, you stand and take a stand for yourself. So there is no venturing which is conventional. There is no venturing which is the status quo. You must break the status quo. And the only way is first being yourself. Being spiritual. Your spirit will guide you. And then learning from other examples. You're not going to be afraid. You will embrace diversity because you have the collective wisdom in you. So I hope that tomorrow is in your hands, and because it is in your hands, you are in your hands. The future that you have, Society has, the country